Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. And are you okay after that last Eagles game? Because that was crazy. But don't worry, we have all that and more in today's episode. Let's get right into the action.
Probably try to Rockefeller hover. Down go to war like a soldier. Yeah. Plus they tried to count me out thinking that it's over. But I got to fight. Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight like Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight. Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight like Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa with the fight. Yeah, I got to fight. Yeah, all of my might. Left foot, left foot, right. Gotta walk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, Braden Knapp, and I'm here joining the full panelists here for the first time this season. Let's go. Here on the left, we have Chris Gress. How are we doing?
I'm doing good, man. Really excited to get back to it.
Awesome. Over here, we have Deja Howe. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Over on the end, we have Jaden Torres. How are we? Welcome back. Second show. How are we doing?
I'm feeling good this episode. Full panel, so this is going to be the biggest one yet.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad you said that, and let's get right into it with our favorite Eagles talk. And oh my goodness, well, don't call it a comeback, I guess. Well, the Eagles erased a 19-point deficit to beat the Rams 33-26. Oh my goodness, they were down 26-7 in the third quarter, if you did not know, outscoring the Rams 26-0 for the rest of the game. The Rams didn't even score again. The Eagles defense was able to hold them. It was a block party. The special teams was able to block 2 kicks in the fourth quarter. And then guess what? Our Lord and Savior here in Philadelphia this weekend, Air Jordan, Mr. Jordan Davis, blocked the game-winning kick. But not only did he block it, he got the ball and then returned it for a touchdown. I don't know if everyone had the same reaction to Cooper DeJean's pick six during the Super Bowl, but everyone was losing their mind in Philadelphia because, I mean, I can say pretty much for everyone else that the Eagles lost that game, and that was not supposed to be an Eagles win, but here we are, 3-0, and I'm just going over to you, Chris. How are we doing after that game?
Man, I mean, you're taking the words out of my mouth. What an unreal game, because they looked dead in the first half. I mean, Jalen really wasn't getting it going. The offense just looked super stagnant, and it just wasn't a strong start to the game for the Eagles, but, you know, they really battled. They locked in the second half. It was that second half for Hurts was probably the best half he's had all year, especially in terms of like numbers. You know, you see just right on your screen, Dallas Goedert, big touchdown grab in his first game back. But yeah, overall, just, I mean, stunned by how the game turned out because the Rams are a good team and a win's a win, but I thought they were dead in the first half.
I completely agree with you. Deja, how are you feeling out there? A little like Chris here and be like, oh, we lost, but
yeah,
we won. How did you feel?
I definitely was nervous throughout the game because offense could not pick up a first down after that first touchdown. Defense was moving a little slow throughout the game, but they held up because offense wasn't doing their thing, but they definitely are a second half team, and Jalen Hurts just is an MVP in my opinion.
As a Deja definitely is on that Jalen Hurts train, 100%. Going over you, Jaden, we touched on it earlier with the defense. That second half, man, they came out to play it. What was your reaction to not only the Eagles defense but the overall game?
Well, the Eagles defense, right, I didn't have an issue with because I knew it was an offensive struggle because they didn't have enough time to actually go out and get a new game plan or, you know, get time to rest while the offense is 3 and out. So I knew if the offense picked it up, then the defense would follow along right with it. But defensively, you still held them to, 4 field goals throughout the whole time. Eagles kept on getting 3 and out. That was pivotal in the comeback, honestly. If they would have scored at least 1 touchdown, this is a whole different game right here.
As you said, I mean, just the fact that the Eagles were then to come out and hold them, I mean, that was amazing. Deja, going over you, there's a few things that we could take away from this. To you, what was the biggest takeaway? Was it the Eagles' defense, or to you, what was it?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway was definitely Jalen Hurts over at the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach. He's letting them know, like, these plays are not working. We need to get rid of the ball. We need to stop running the ball. Use Saquon more as a block now that our offensive line is kind of collapsing a little bit. So I definitely think Jalen Hurts kind of taking control of the game and calling his own plays helped in the game a lot.
I'm glad you brought up Jalen because I mean, he had himself. I have himself a game here. If you want to quickly look here at the stats, Jalen Hurts, he had 226 yards with 3 touchdowns. A.J. Brown and Smitty, finally they're coming up. Finally being able to do something. A.J. Brown with 6 catches for 109 yards and a tutty. Smitty with 8 catches, 60 yards, and also a tutty. It was nice seeing both of them at least get on the score sheet again and at least be used, because that's a conversation right now is Eagles passing game, even though you literally have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, which is arguably one of the best, like 1-2 in the league. But it seems as though they're not really used. Jaden, how do you feel about all that controversy and the Eagles using A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith more?
I love the fact that they used them more, but it's the fact that when the Eagles were down 19, it was 26-7 right after Rams scored a touchdown. Jalen Hurts only had 9 pass attempts to that point. Why are you down 19 and only have 9 passing attempts, right? It should have gotten to a point where the Eagles started throwing the ball way earlier, right, and using your 2 top 15 wide receivers in the league. And when they opened the playbook and they started passing way more, you see the difference. They scored 26 unanswered points. So keep calling passing plays, and the Eagles' offense can be dominating.
I'm 100% be dominant, because we forget this team just won a Super Bowl. Like, what are we? I mean, we all remember A.J. Brown throwing that, or Jalen Hurts throwing that ball to Smitty in the Super Bowl. The Eagles can pass the ball. Jalen Hurts can definitely pass the ball, but it's almost talked around the league as if they can't. It's weird. Chris, what's your opinion on all this Eagles can't pass the ball crap?
So there's this age-old question that was posed in the Super Bowl. Are they going to run some clock, or are they going to throw the dagger? And I always was in favor of throwing the dagger. And Devontae Smith, again, on Sunday, had a dagger touchdown. That touchdown on 4th down when they were in the red zone, beautiful ball by Hurts, beautiful ball by Devontae that essentially won them the game outside. Obviously, Jordan Davis with the field goal block, but that was the go-ahead score. They're a great passing offense when everything's clicking. I mean, you saw a vintage performance from AJ over 100 yards, vintage performance for the both of them. It's a matter of I don't know what it is honestly right now, because it was just a tale of 2 halves in this game. I mean, it was stagnant, it was stale in the first half, and then in the second half, they just really figured it out and locked in. And the Rams are a good team, so the fact that they were able to come back and really take care of business and beat them is a very strong sign. But it's going to be interesting to see how the passing game looks going forward, and especially next week against a not-so-easy opponent as well.
I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, let's give a little credit to the Eagles. I mean, just to even come back against that really good Rams team is almost like, well, okay, but you got in the hole in the first place. So it's like, what? There's a lot the Eagles got to figure out. And as you said, next week against the kryptonite of the Buccaneers, they seem as though they are the Eagles' kryptonite, unfortunately. Let's look in the next opponent review. Week 4 at the Buccaneers, who are also 3-0, 1 p.m. kickoff. Eagles' kryptonite. The Bucs have won 4 out of their last 5 meetings, 3 wins by double digits. Key matchup here is obviously the run game of the Bucs, who are 7th in rushing, versus the Eagles' run defense, who are now 25th in run defense. This will be a game. I just want to preference by saying thank goodness that we won the last game, because when I was sitting there before Jordan Davis blocked that, we're like, uh-oh, we go to the Bucs next week. But luckily, we're 3-0 going in this game. As we said, it's the Bucs. Deja, what scares you the most about going into Tampa Bay here?
I honestly shouldn't be nervous going into this game, but for some reason, we struggled to verse the Buccaneers. They are kind of a dirty team, in my opinion. They like to play dirty. So, and then also them using their run game is definitely going to hurt us a little bit, because I feel like we struggle to stop the run. So we'll just have to see what happens.
I mean, let's see here. Mike Evans is out, so that's going for the Eagles in a good way. However, I mean, as we just said, the running game. Bucky Irving, who's this upcoming stud in the NFL. I mean, looks scary. But also we have to talk about Baker Mayfield, who's just playing like an MVP candidate. Very good quarterback, but he's playing really good now. Jaden, is is Baker the biggest? Is that who we're most scared about the most, or is it that scary defense like Vita Vea who they got over there, Jamel D? Who do you think the Eagles should be focusing on more?
Well, obviously, a big part of the Eagles' offense is the tush push, right? So the tush push versus Vita Vea is going to be a matchup I want to see. I want to see how the offensive line, the interior offensive line, can hold up against Vita Vea, who's, in my opinion, the most dominant defensive tackle in the whole league. Him, Jalen Carter, maybe. Those are like the 1 and 2 right there. So, and Dexter Lawrence, of course. But it's like, I want to see how that matches up. But also, with you said the Bucs running game, I want to see, because Kyron Williams averaged 4.7 yards per carry. So I want to see how they can hold up against Bucky Irvin. And, you know, the offense, hopefully no 3-and-outs consistently to tire out the defense. So see how that goes for the Eagles and versus Tampa Bay, the whole matchup.
Definitely. It's going to be something. I feel like that's the way to put it, Chris. How are we feeling for this matchup? I know you're excited.
Yeah, no, obviously the Bucs have had their number past 4 of the 5 matchups. Obviously, also in the dreaded 2023 playoff game where they just absolutely dominated. But, you know, a little sliver of hope. Obviously, you don't root for injuries, but Mike Evans being out for the Buccaneers this weekend is big. Obviously, he's their best receiver, so now you can focus all the attention on the bright young rookie star that they have in Emeka Egbuka. That dude's been tearing it up his first couple weeks in the league. We'll see how Fangio dials it up against him and, you know, Cade Otton, and obviously you guys already mentioned Bucky Irving. But honestly, even with all that, I'm still not feeling super great, but I feel like they'll go in there and make it close because it's still the Eagles. They're still a juggernaut. I think it'll be a close game.
I think that's where we can agree. There ain't gonna be no blowouts down in Tampa Bay, unfortunately. As much as we love, we never know, but unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for the Eagles. Come back next week, and we'll see how the Eagles do against the Buccaneers. So with that, let's get right into the Phillies, who are moving towards the playoffs here. Phillies up and down versus the D-backs. Unfortunately, they lost the series 1-2. 9 runs surrendered in the final games of the series. It was not a very pretty sight, unfortunately. The next series they have up, and they currently are in, are the Marlins, where they are down by a game. And the next obviously series is Minnesota. This is something here. Obviously, starting in the next game is Jesus Luzardo pitching against the Marlins. He's been up and down. That's just to start with him. That's a conversation I wanted to start. Just the Phillies, just constant up and down that they keep doing. Starting with you, Chris, because the first game against the Marlins, they were up 3-0 in the game. That's actually when I turned it off. Had a little fun note, and then they come back and they lost by a run. That's just, it's just a constant thing I feel like with the Phils, is this constant back and forth. But I mean, how was your reaction to this Diamondback series and just first game loss?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not ideal. You know, when you're watching your team, you want to see them win every game. But unfortunately, with baseball, it's just not a sport where you're going to go out there and win every single game. And especially the Phillies right now, you know, they've won the division. They only have their magic number to get a first round bye is 1. So I'm sure they're not, you know. Obviously, the energy's not where it's going to be for a playoff game. So obviously, it's no excuse to lose. But, you know, these games really don't matter all that much. You know, I know it sounds ridiculous, but they already clinched a playoff spot. They need one more win. But, yeah, last night was uncharacteristic of Duran. That was the only real concern I had. You know, he's typically nails when you go in there, but he gave up a home run. Mistake pitch, it happens, but that was the only real thing that bothered me, because after that, you know, you had the rain delay and the whole extra innings fiasco, but I'm not feeling too concerned overall.
I would agree. I mean, there's a lot of like little stupid things, unfortunately, that came into the game last night, and the things happened with Duran. But I mean, Duran is definitely one of the guys that we need to be real good going to the playoffs. But going over to you, Jaden, how was your reaction to these last couple games here?
Well, I felt like that it should have been known, because like they clinched the playoffs, they feel good, right? But then they also went away to the Diamondbacks, which the Phillies aren't the best away team. Most of their wins are coming from home, coming from the Citizens Bank, right? So I feel like that was just a onto the away struggles that the Phillies always have in general. So I think that was the last couple of games for us, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree. It's unfortunately, you want the Phillies on the road to maybe let's get it going a little bit. But at least when it comes to the bank, it's going to be hard to beat the Phils. Going over to you, Deja, what's your quick reactions over these last few games?
Nothing but positivity. I'm excited going into the postseason. I really think we have the chance to make it to the World Series and win it. After last game, Christopher Sanchez, I sometimes wish we could just play him for all 9 innings because every time we take him out, things change. But, yeah.
That was a perfect segue because I want to talk about the pitcher tonight in Jesus Luzardo. Because it's the pitching again. Keep talking about it with the Phils. But it's like, what are we doing? Luzardo, it's interesting, and I want to bring it up to the floor here. Because Luzardo, I mean, there's times where he's like, I mean, at first this guy was like in the Cy Young candidate, I feel like, being the season, and then there's times it's like, can this guy even pitch? Luzardo's a weird guy, Chris. How are we feeling about at least Luzardo for the playoffs upcoming, at least for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with Luzardo, he'll have 1 inning. Like, just an example, against the Mets a couple weeks ago, in the first inning, he kind of got hit around a little bit. He gave up 4 runs, gave up a ton of hits. But then for the next 7 innings after that, he gave up no hits, no runs, had a bunch of strikeouts, and that's the biggest plus with him. He is a huge, huge strikeout pitcher, and in the playoffs, that's going to be massive. He just went over 200 strikeouts. Christopher Sanchez last night also went over 200 strikeouts. But back to like Luzardo and how it feels. I feel like he always rises though when against these bigger teams and these bigger starts, like against the Mets. 2 times he's gone out there and given you really quality starts. He goes out against the Dodgers and gives good starts there. Tonight, and especially against his former team, the Marlins, another revenge start for him, I think tonight you'll get more of that good version of Luzardo, hopefully, 6 or 7 innings, probably, maybe 8 strikeouts because the Marlins, whiff a lot. But as far as tonight, I'm feeling good about Luzardo.
I would agree with you. I'm glad you said that because I forgot that was his old team. So maybe we got a little bit on the backbone a little bit, maybe. But, I mean, we'll see for tonight. Let's now talk about the playoffs because they are emerging here soon next week. Playoff pressure cooker. ESPN ranks Phillies a 9th in the playoff pressure. It is ranked based off drought, flicker stars, team exodus, and father time amongst other variables. And also the free agent class highlights the reason for the high ranking. This was interesting to see how, this was ESPN, by the way, who ranked this. Wasn't MLB or anything. So it's kind of interesting to see that they're only ranked 9th. However, they're definitely contenders, obviously, the Phillies going in. Are they perfect contenders or the best contenders? No. However, you just need to make it with baseball. Like, you just need to get there, and just need one more game to clinch a bye. The Phillies are going to make it. But going into the playoffs, going over to you, Jaden. How are we feeling about the playoff hopes here?
Honestly, when it comes to father time and all this, right, that ESPN just put out, I just don't see it because the Phillies traded away most of their young stars for assets or for currently. So they want to win now. So the future is something that it doesn't look the brightest compared to other teams in the league. So I feel like the Phillies are in a win now. So win the World Series this year, so we can worry about the future on, honestly.
I agree with you, obviously. To even get Duran, had to give up 2 of our top prospects. But, I mean, we'll see. Let's go into the playoffs. There's a few of various teams that we could play coming in for the wild card spot. But, Chris, is there anyone in particular you're just like, they cannot be them for the Phils?
No, fortunately, we said last week, the Giants, I don't think they're going to make it, so I don't really have to worry about them. And another team that I was worried about is the Mets. They might miss the playoffs entirely too. So, I mean, as far as teams I'm worried about, I mean, they own the Dodgers. They only have 1 loss to them all season. The Reds are fine. I think they'll take care of business if they get matched up against the Reds. Padres will be interesting. That's probably a team I would want to play the least because the Padres are going to have that revenge factor for what the Phillies did back to them in 2022. But if you had to make me choose, I would say the Padres, but I'm very confident in the Phillies.
I am confident too, and we all laughed, especially with the Mets, because we're going to backtrack a little bit. We're like, that's the biggest threat, but it's right now, it don't even look like they're going to make it, which I'm hoping they don't, because the Mets would be actually scary if we come up and play them, because it seems as though the Phils forget how to play against them. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for the Phils. Let's hope next week we come back and we'll talk about the playoffs. So let's get right into one of our new favorite segments. That is Sports Talk Philly First Take. I'm so excited to be doing this now. With our first question going up to the panel here, we have some news. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been released by the Texans. So, should the Eagles bring him back? I'm just going to start off by me, and no. There's a reason we got rid of him, and there's a reason he got cut. He's one of the best safeties in the league, and it's crazy, and I don't even think I would cut him, but now that they did cut him, the Texans, it's like, there's got to be something. There's got to be something wrong with him. What do you guys think? This is Gardner-Johnson. I don't know how he's getting released, but there's got to be something there.
That's a fair point, but I would disagree, and I think they should at least give it a chance. I mean, you already did it with Fred Johnson, who you traded away, and then you brought him back anyway, who was a part of the team last year. Obviously a different position, but I just think the whole reason the beef with him was with Darius Slay. They would always go at it. Darius Slay is not on the Eagles anymore. Gardner-Johnson, like you said, he's super talented. You know, he could play safety. You could probably slot DeJean to corner. You're not going to have to deal with Adoree Jackson if you bring him back. I would bring him back. What do you think, Deja?
I would definitely bring him back. I feel so. Jalen Carter, his behavior is not the best, but it used to be worse. I know we had the whole spitting allegation that happened, whatever. But I feel like the defensive coordinators and Nick Sirianni, he stays on top of his players, and they're kind of guiding him in the right direction. So I feel like they can do that with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And the Eagles defensively definitely need someone that's tough and experienced right now. So I think it's a smart idea to bring him back, and he just belongs in Philly.
Jade, does he belong in Philly, or how are we feeling?
I'm going to agree with Braden. I don't think that the Eagles should bring him back. The reason why I say this is because you got Makuba, right? So he is the young star that you need to put all your effort into. And yeah, you could put CJ back at safety, then Reed Blankenship's not playing, or Andrew Mbuga. I'm struggling on his name right now, but he's not playing. So I'd rather have the young star who's promising and is great so far this season playing, and rather than C.J. Gardner-Johnson, my humble opinion.
I would agree, because I'm a fan of Makuba, and when we drafted him, I was on for it, and you said that perfectly. Obviously, he's Gardner-Johnson, he's amazing, but then that takes away that spot. I mean, we'll probably have Reed play next to him or whatever, but then Makuba can't get those first-team reps. And I think I just saw a clip today where Deion Sanders, he's like, you don't get good by sitting on the bench. You get good by playing. So that's the thing, is especially when you want to develop Makuba, that's just where I'm just like, he's already got a pick. So he obviously has talent, and I look at the fact of, let's not throw no jaw weird stuff in the locker room. But I mean, would I be upset? I don't know. It's Gardner-Johnson. Does anyone else have anything more to add for it?
Super Bowl champ C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, they probably won't end up re-signing him, but I wouldn't mind if they took a shot. I'll just put it like that.
Here's my worry with this whole thing, because I was like, okay, he got released. I was like, I didn't even think the Eagles would want to bring him back. But then my thing is where is he going to go? This is one of the best safeties in the league, so he's just going to just hop on a team now? I just don't want him to hop on a very good team, which I know he wants more of them. So that's my only thing. I'm like, it's a tough scenario.
I will say a lot of people are saying that he's going to the Cowboys, which I hope he doesn't, because if he does, then the Eagles should have gotten him at that point.
I think he would rather not play than go to the Cowboys, and that should be for anyone that plays for the Eagles.
Honestly, yeah, but right now he's sitting there with no paycheck. He's like, okay, Jerry, where's that John at? But we'll see with CJ. That is a huge development, though, where he even is going to go. We got another question we want to talk about here, too. Talking about the Phils here, what's more important? Who's more important to bring back, JT Realmuto or Ranger Suarez? That is a conversation. Obviously, both of them, their contracts are due up. And for this question, if we have to pick the two, honestly, I love JT. He is amazing, but I'm going to go with Ranger. As we just talked about the Phils, it's the pitching, and he's one of the few people that you can depend on him. Now you're going to have to sign the guy for $100+ million for a few years, but I don't know. I feel like going to the pitching. What do you guys think?
I'm going to respectfully disagree. Love Ranger. Ranger's awesome. Want to bring them both back, but Zach Wheeler's going to come back next year. Christopher Sanchez is in the pipeline. Luzardo, Nola, who knows? I mean, Andrew Painter's still around. So you have these options in the pipeline with pitching. After JT, I like Marchand. I don't think he's an everyday player. I just think JT's more of a need than Ranger. And Ranger has all the injury concerns. JT's probably the toughest guy on the team. He plays, even last night, he fouled a ball off his finger. He stayed in the game. There's not a wrong answer. I'm just going to say JT because I think it's more of a need than Ranger, especially for next season.
Yeah, this was definitely a hard question, but I'm going to have to go with Braden and say that we keep Suarez because we're never confident or comfortable with our pitchers, and we literally go on a roller coaster up and down, and he's someone that we can be confident in, so I would keep Suarez.
Okay, so when I first saw this question, I was like, oh, it's got to be Ranger Suarez, right? But then I kept thinking about it. I kept thinking, right? I'm picking JT now. I think that JT should be more important to bring back because he's one of the best catchers in the league, right? One of the best defensive catchers. He's a really good hitter for the Phillies, so he brings in points, right? And then after that, if JT leaves, who else is a catcher in free agency that is available that the Phillies can actually get?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, okay, let JT go. Well, then who's going to be the catcher, which is a very important position, by the way. So, that's the thing with you guys.
They traded Taid away for Abel, who he was going to be their big prospect coming down. But
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, good thing we're not making these decisions. That's what they make the big bucks for. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have on today's episode. If you would please stay tuned for next week and follow us on the socials at SportsTalk LTV on X and Instagram. Please stay tuned. We'll see what happens next week. Let's hope we get a win against the Bucks, and let's hope the Phillies start going in the playoffs with being very good. Thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend. Thank you.